Hi, my name is Kay Gruner, and I am a lawyer, and I'm going to spill the hottest creator tea of 2023. This is your lawyer's guide to new laws, creator lawsuits, and legal disputes this past year. I'm not ranking them, they're just kind of in a random order, but we're going to kick off this top 10 list with Lashgate or Mascaragate with Mikayla, Nogueira, and L'Oreal Cosmetics. Okay, this was one of my personal favorite tea spill moments of the year. My corner of TikTok and YouTube was obsessed with figuring out whether beauty influencer Mikayla Nogueira used false eyelashes to advertise a L'Oreal mascara product. I even saw slow-mo videos and screenshots absolutely dissecting her original 30-second video, where possibly there was a brief moment where her lashes seemed to be bigger and fuller, more so than in other parts of the very same video. Now, her reputation may be damaged, but as a lawyer, I gotta say, it's fun AF to analyze these influencer situations and ask myself, was that illegal false advertising or not? What's also funny to me about this tea is that it's nothing new. Literally 10 years ago, in 2013, L'Oreal said on the record, and I quote, "There is nothing false or misleading about featuring a model in a mascara ad who obviously is wearing lash inserts." But y'all can decide for yourself. Do you think it's false advertising? According to the FTC, an advertisement is deceptive if it contains a representation or omission of fact that is likely to mislead a reasonable consumer and is material to that consumer's purchasing decision. Speaking of the FTC, number 2 on my list is when the FTC clarified its legal rules for influencers, or at least tried to. The FTC is the main agency here in the US that drafts and enforces legal rules around advertising, including, for example, the requirement that endorsements given by influencers, like Mikayla, are honest and not misleading. This past year, the FTC updated their endorsement guides, publishing a document that basically explains what is and what isn't a violation of influencer law. It also explains when and how to properly disclose certain relationships as a modern online influencer. The FTC wants you to know that it's not just brands that are on the hook here. Just last month, they sent warning letters to dozens of influencers who were paid to promote aspartame as a sweetener, but didn't follow FTC rules. Speaking of food, MrBeast versus Beast Burger lawsuit. This story perfectly exemplifies the dangers of licensing your brand and not reading your contracts. So what happened? Well, MrBeast signed a bad deal. In a tweet, he said, "If I had the ability to close MrBeast Burger, I would have done so a long time ago, sadly. Sometimes when you're young, you sign a deal." Unfortunately, a bad contract is still an enforceable contract. So after failing to renegotiate, a legal battle ensued. First, MrBeast sued the Ghost Kitchen company, claiming quality control issues that caused inedible and disgusting food, which in turn hurt the MrBeast brand reputation. Which is true. Lots of folks on the internet were posting videos and bad reviews, sharing their disappointment, saying things like, "The burgers were uncooked" or "The fries were rock hard." The company then countersued, saying that MrBeast did not uphold his contractual obligations and is demanding over $100 million in damages. The case is still pending, so we'll have to follow it into 2024. Which brings me to number 4, 2023, the beginning of the end of family vlogs. For the first time in U.S. history, a law was written and passed specifically to prevent the exploitation of children via social media work. Illinois is now the first state in the U.S. to ensure that child social media influencers are compensated for their work. And yes, it is work. It takes time, their attention, their presence, their use of their name, image, and likeness. Many of these kids have no choice in the matter, especially if they've been in front of a camera from the time they were born. Whether ad revenue or brand deals, I agree. They deserve to have the money that they generated. Whether or not the law should take a step further and maybe, I don't know, make the whole thing illegal in the first place, that's still TBD. But the new law goes into effect on July 1, 2024. So for any of you content creator families out there, at least in Illinois, get you a copy of the law and read up. Number 5, ChatGPT and AI is suddenly our everything. Also, copyright issues. So although ChatGPT was released in 2022, 2023 was the year that we all got on board. It took over everything, and it's no surprise. If you've ever used ChatGPT, you know that it's incredibly powerful and useful for business. So much so that experts have claimed that AI will soon be taking our jobs. And I say our because lawyers are at risk too. Also, remember back in March when some of the world's biggest tech leaders signed an open letter urging the world to slow down on AI development? Yeah, kind of scary. So, what's the tea? At least from a lawyer's perspective, it was a huge deal when the US Copyright Office held that only human beings qualify as authors under copyright law, meaning that an AI generated work, even if directed by a human, is not eligible for copyright protection. Also, a heads up to all you content creators out there, since ChatGPT gets its information from collective publications, there's always a risk of copyright infringement in the ChatGPT's output, whether you meant to or not. So just be careful and use AI as a tool, not as a replacement for your own creative works. Number 6, SHEIN, the factory tour and stealing art. Many of us were well aware of the deeply unethical business practices of SHEIN, the international fast fashion giant, such as violating labor laws and stealing intellectual property of indie artists. But in June 2023, the creator industry finally came together to completely dump on SHEIN via its infamous influencer factory tour. Like good little contract complying influencers, one even posted their content praising the brand for its hospitality and said, "There is a narrative fed to us in the US." Yeah, sounds a little propaganda-y, right? And that's not all the tea on SHEIN in 2023. Did you know that SHEIN was sued in California this summer for alleged violations of RICO laws? Yeah, like the RICO that targets criminal behavior of the mafia and gangs. For SHEIN, it's because they are said to be engaging in egregious copyright infringement that, according to the lawsuit, constitutes racketeering. Number 7, Barbie's IP licensing bonanza. So yes, we all know the release of the Barbie live-action movie by Greta Gerwig was news in and of itself. But we are here to talk about the legalities involved, and not just the license of Mattel's intellectual property to make the film itself, but the licensing and royalties that would be a key part to putting out the seemingly hundreds of marketing and brand collabs. I don't know about you, but my social media feeds were bombarded with Barbie licensed products. I'm talking Barbie brand collabs from Barbie pink makeup, nail polish, and fashion collections to Barbie Burger King meals and even washable rugs. I'm looking at you, Ruggable. The tea here is that we all experienced a Barbie summer, whether we wanted to or not. But Mattel is the real winner with potentially millions or billions made in licensing royalties. Talk about a comeback, Barbie. Number 8. Okay, this next tea is hot, 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 like just off the press. The Luke Combs copyright infringement case. Country musician Luke Combs sues a fan for copyright infringement. She was selling merch with his name and likeness on it, like so many people do on Etsy. And then, unfortunately for her, the court issued a $250 million judgment against her because what she was doing was copyright infringement. Also, because the initial lawsuit complaint went to her email and she never saw it, she never had a chance to actually clear things up or settle with the music star. I hate to see anyone become an example, but if you play with fire, there's a chance you're going to get burned. But the real tea here isn't that yet another fan was sued by their idol for copyright infringement, but that she then brought her story to the internet, who, for the most part, agreed with her that it was unfair and she couldn't pay her medical bills due to this insane sum of money, which is sad. But in a very unlikely and frankly uncommon response, Luke Combs, the bringer of the lawsuit, apologized publicly and is now launching his own Tumblr with the profits going to her to pay her judgment from him. Yeah, a hot mess. Number 9, Meta, sued by 33 states this year. In October, dozens of U.S. states, including California and New York, sued Meta. Yeah, the owner of Instagram and Facebook, for knowingly designing features that addict children to its platforms, which in turn contributes to the youth mental health crisis. According to Batty New York Attorney General Letitia James, kids and teenagers are suffering from record levels of poor mental health, and social media companies like Meta are to blame. I mean, she's not wrong. And it's not just kids. Good luck to you, Meta. But hey, Meta isn't the only big social media company at risk in 2023 and beyond. Which brings us to our last, number 10 on the list, the TikTok legal bans. Remember when all the big TikTokers were panicking and trying to redirect their audiences to their other social pages? It was because we all thought TikTok would be banned, because that's what the government was telling us. Well, it was not just talk. Lawmakers in the US have already put restrictions in place, mostly on government-owned devices or certain Wi-Fi networks, because they believe that the owner company of TikTok, ByteDance, could be handing over sensitive user data to the Chinese government. They are also apparently worried that China could use TikTok for misinformation campaigns, perhaps maybe relating to the elections or just national security concerns. And it's not just the US. As of December 2023, Britain, Australia, Canada, France, and others have also taken legal action to ban the app on government-owned devices. The issue is still very much developing, and as an avid TikToker myself, I will be following along. So, lessons learned from 2023 creators. Read your contracts. Don't breach your contracts. Don't steal others' intellectual property for money-making purposes. And lastly, pay attention to the laws that are ever-changing all around us, especially those that relate to the influencer and creator economies. P.S. This was not scripted by ChatGPT. Oh, I didn't put that in there. Just kidding. Bye!